So another method in which government or ways in which government can control monopolies and merger is through, aside price regulation, is through profit regulation. And for profit regulation, we're talking about an economic policy which allows government or regulatory body to limit the amount of profit firms can make, which means they can, as soon as they set that limit, it simply means they're only going to be able to make a fair profit through their rate of return on capital. So they only make profit based on the return on their capital. Aside that, there's no more supernormal profit or profit maximization. That is
Okay.
profit limited. Do you get it? Do you get it, please?
Yeah.
So why do we have profit regulation? Profit regulation is used to, one, to prevent excessive profit, to protect consumers, and to promote fairness. So let's start with preventing excessive profit. So for excessive profit, it's talking about making so much profit that it's not supposed to make. That is excessive. Do you get it?
Mhm.
Then the next one is protecting consumers. For consumers, with regulatory body, it simply means consumers will not be allowed to be, consumers will not be exploited. Monopolies want to make profit where maximum MC cost to MR. That's where they want to make profits. They don't think about allocative efficiency, where MC costs to AC. They don't think about that. So as a result of that, with profit limiting, firms or monopolists will not be able to exploit consumers in terms of what they consume. So you don't charge a high price. You charge a price based on whatever we have seen as your cost of production. So you won't be able to exploit consumers. And the third reason is to promote fairness. So in as much as we are protecting consumers, we shouldn't make the monopolist to run at a loss too. So what do? They aim to ensure firms earn a fair profit that is proportionate to their investment and risk rather than through malicious practices like overcharging. They won't allow monopolists to overcharge, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to make profit. They will make profit also, but a fair one. In fairness, that is what it means. So these are the reasons why government will use profit regulation. Then, okay, that takes us to the problem with profit regulation. Is there? Please. As profit regulation simply means limiting the level of profit firms can make or monopolies could make by ensuring that there's a fair return on their capital. That is what profit regulation is. So what are the problems with profit regulation? The first one is about that it requires regulators to have a good understanding of cost and rates of return in the industry. So with government having to understand, because government wants to limit what firms or monopolists will make. It simply means government have to understand how the market works, how the industry works. But how will government understand it when government is not part of government? Government is not an economist to know this. So it simply means the monopolists might have the incentive to tell government about high cost so that government will allow them to make more profit. High cost, they have to cover up their cost, yes or no? So
Yes.
they would predict to government that the cost is high. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So predicting to government that the cost is high simply means they will be allowed to charge higher prices, and that would allow them to make profit. Do you get the first point here? Do you get it, please?
Yeah.
The second one, monopolies have little incentive to minimize cost if they are allowed to cover their costs and earn a profit on capital employed. So it means the monopolies won't care about the amount of cost as the cost will be covered by the customer. Another problem is because you have to cover your cost based on the capital employed. So if you have invested certain amount of money, that is the capital employed, you need the ROCE, return on capital employed. So it simply means that it is expected you make more profit. So what do? They don't care. The monopolists will not care about the amount of money invested, 10 million or 100 million. They know that there's going to be a high percentage for them in terms of return. And
Okay.
whatever cost they incur will be passed on to customers. So they won't care. So that's another problem about using profit regulation. I think it's clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The third one, monopolies have an incentive to employ too much capital. If they are being awarded the percentage rate of return on capital, the more capital employed, the higher the amount of profit earned. So as a monopolist, they have the incentive to put much money into the business because whatever the case might be, Government would only tell them not to, government will only limit the profit they make. But government will not tell them not to cover their cost. So we put 100 million into it. We're going to get certain, if it is 10% percentage on it, yeah, we can put 120 million on it to get 12%. So irrespective of whatever the case might be, a monopolist will still be making profit because government doesn't have knowledge about what they do. It is only what information they give to government will work on. They don't have their own specific, government do not have, the government do not put into place mechanisms that would allow governments to know what is really happening in the market. So there's always going to be information gap. Schools, they know what they make. It is only what they tell government that government would accept. Government don't have mechanism that would allow them to know what is really, what is really happening. So that's about profit regulation. Any question about that?
No.
So we'll go to quality standards now, which is another method of government regulating or controlling mergers and monopolies. Another way in which government could control monopolies or reduce mergers or to check on mergers is through quality standards. And when we talk about quality standards, we're talking about documented requirements or specifications, which must meet customers' expectation. Because quality means meeting customers' expectations. So if quality standards are set, it simply means that there are documents, that there are documented specifications, characteristics, features, or requirements that firms must meet in the course of their production process, which has to meet with consistency, the fitness, and alignment with customers' expectation. So that is what quality standards about. So for a profit maximizing monopolist, would not think about profit. It thinks about making profit. Oh, sorry, it won't think about quality. It will rather think about what? Maximizing profit. So where you see a monopolist thinking about producing high quality products, it simply means by producing high quality products, it's going to be able to make higher profits. Do you get the point I'm making there?
Yeah.
So a profit maximizing monopolist will only think about producing high quality products if it will allow it to maximize its profit. So what is the essence of quality standard? The essence of quality standard is where poor quality is happening or where quality becomes an issue. So where quality becomes an issue, it is important for government to set quality standards, which will become a documented requirement for every firm or for that monopolist to work on. Do you understand quality standard here? That is about quality standard. Then the next one, performance targets. Another method to control merger or monopolies is through performance targets. For performance targets, it's more like quality standards, but here it's just about you being specific and having a time, bound on what has to be achieved at a specific point in time. But at the end of it all, it's similar to quality standard. So here I go. These are specific, measurable, and time-bound goals that provide clear direction for firms to achieve desired outcomes. So with imposition of performance targets, monopolies will attempt to find ways to get around them. So setting a time bound or setting a performance target based on time bounding, this simply means government have told us that this has to be achieved at this point in time. So what can they do about it? Because government lacks information anyway. It's okay, maybe for example, a trade company that has to finish maybe its journey between 5 to 7 p.m. So that's 2 hours within. So because government lacks information, they might adjust the 5 to 7 by maybe the train start by 4:55 instead of 5 and ends maybe 6:55, which is 7. The standard is the performance target is 7, 5 to 7. But now, because government doesn't have information about what they do, the journey starts by 4:55 and ends at 6:55, which is the same as 2 hours. But to government would think they've adjusted the time, even they are doing more than what is being expected of them, because now the journey ends at 6:55. So that is what performance target is about. But these firms can always find a way around it. They can't change it, but they know a way to they know how to, to deceive government when it comes to their process, because it's their production. Government doesn't have information about it. Any question about performance target?
No.
So for both performance target and quality standard, when you look at them, there are things that firms can, find a way around. For quality standard, they can. Government doesn't have information about the contents of what they produce. So whatever they tell government is what the government will take. Because it's even a monopolist, which simply means it's the only producer of goods or services in that industry. So how do you compare? What product do you want to compare it with to know if the standard is high or not? Do you understand quality standard and performance targets?
Yeah.
Any question about it?
No.
Good. The next one, referral to regulatory authorities. When we talk about referral, we're talking about reporting a firm to regulatory authority. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So for referral, it simply means uh, people or individuals have reported certain firm or a monopolist to a regulatory body. So that is what referral to regulatory authority simply means. So when this happens, it simply means that government have information about your undoing. Government have information about your misconduct. And as soon as this misconduct is identified, government will sanction you. So the government can make the firm change its way or pay a fine. So that is about referral to regulatory authorities. I think referral is clear here. You are being reported. A monopolist is being reported to a regulatory body or government for proper investigation. And when the investigation is done and there's misconduct which has been identified, that firm will have to pay a fine for that. Is it clear?
Mm-hmm.
The next one is legislation to control mergers and takeovers. Government can also use legislation, which are laws, policies, to control mergers and takeovers. Note, when merger occurs, the first thing that it brings is reducing the choice for customers. So government would not have issue when the merger does not bring about customer exploitation. But if it brings about customer exploitation, government would ensure that the merger doesn't hold. And if it has to happen, if government figure out that there are some facility that would increase the vulnerability of customers because of that merger, government would ensure that those merging firms sell them out to maybe potential businesses. So whatever the case might be, government would ensure that the laws or the policy are being complied with. Do you get it? So yeah, I wrote. This might be done through merger policy, which is used to prevent merged firms from exploiting their customers by raising prices and reducing choices in the markets. So when merger occurs, choices reduce for customers. And when choices reduce for customers, what it simply means is that customers have to pay higher prices because of less choice for them. So what will government do? Government would ensure that whatever will bring about anti-competitive practices, government would take it away. And firms, that monopolist must comply with it. Is it clear?
Mm-hmm.
So these are ways in which government can control merger or monopolist. Any question about that?
Mm.
So we'll go to okay.